Okay, so on this video, we're going to explain to you kind of the meaning of a function and the definition of a function and how specifically to do the questions on your Delta Math assignment. So this is one way to represent a function. This is called a mapping diagram. So you have your input here, your set A, which we also would call the domain, and your output here, which is set B, which we could call the range. I like to explain functions with an input and output box instead. So let me pull that up and show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so think of this box as your function. So this is f of x equals x plus 5. If we input 10 into this function, we're going to do 10 plus 5, and we're going to get 15. So the input is 10 and the output is 15. So anything that goes in here would be coming from set A, and anything that comes out is from set B. So it's just a different way of looking at it, okay? So if we go back here to this, this says that if I put 0 into the function box, I get -2 as an answer. If I put 7 in, I get -1 as an answer. If I put -3 in, I also get -1. And if I put 9 in, I get 3. So that is a mapping diagram of how you get from the input to the output. Okay? Now, a function is one where it's the relationship. The function is the relationship. And it can't have two answers. So if I say what's the partner of 0, it's -2. So the function of 0 is -2. If there was an arrow also going to 3, you wouldn't know if the answer is -2 or if it's 3 because there'd be two possibilities. So a function can't have two possibilities. If I ask you the name of your sister, you might have two different answers because you might have two different sisters. So that would not be a function. A function is something where there's only one answer or one output for every input. Any input can only have one output. So on your Delta Math assignment, you're going to explain that this is a function. And you're going to say the mapping diagram above represents a function since for each number in the input, so set A is what we're looking for, but we don't want set A the output, we want set A the input, there is only one mapping, so the mapping is the arrow, there's only one arrow to something in the output. Set B is the output. I wouldn't choose this because this says the input. B is the output. So that's how they want you to answer that. You're going to submit your answer and get a green arrow. Okay, so let's do another problem. Let's find one that's not. Okay, you see how this one has a -3 going to 3 and also has -3 going to 4? That's not a function. So it does not represent a function since there is one number in set A, the input, where there are multiple mappings. So there's one, there's two, there's multiple, to set B, the output. So this is not a function because -3 has two answers. It could be a perfectly fine relationship, but it's not a function. Okay, some equations are functions and some are not. Okay, let's do one more. This one would not be because 2 is going to 1 and also going to 5. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I'll just go through a couple examples. This would not be a function because of what's going on at 2. This would not because of what's going on at 6. Not because -4. This would be okay. So there's one coming from 6, one coming from 1, one coming from 3, and one coming from 0. Okay, so hopefully that helps you understand whether it's a function or not with a mapping diagram. Now, let's go to a different type of question. Okay, so this is the same idea, but it lists them as ordered pairs. So it's saying -6 is your input and -2 is your output. So the first number is like your input. So 3 goes to -7, 5 goes to 9, and 9 goes to -2. That is okay. I don't have one number going to two different answers. -6, 8, 5, 7, that's okay. Here's a problem. 9's partner is -2, but over here, 9's partner is also 7. You have one number, 9, going to two different outputs. That's a problem. That's not a function. And we're supposed to pick which one is not a function. -7, -8, 0, and 7. Or sorry, -1. -1, -8, 0, and 7. Those all are different, so they're all going to, they all have one output. Now, it's okay here that -8 goes to 5 and 7 also goes to 5. Two different x's can go to the same y, and that's not a problem. So I'm going to submit my answer, and I'm going to get a green check mark. New problem. So which represents a function? So I have a -9,3 and a -9,2. That's not a function. 3, 5, and 3, 3. That's not a function. 3, -2, and 3, -6. That's not a function. But here I have 0 only going to 2. -9 is only going to 7. -6 is only going to -1. And -2 is only going to 2. And it's okay that -2 and 0 both go to 2. So I'll click, submit, and yes. Okay, so the other way that we might ask you is to show you a graph. Okay, so any ordered pair on this line is an x and y. So like right there, that looks like the point 2, 5. So 2 is my input, 2 is my x, y is my output. So 2 gives me a 5, but also 2 gives me a -5. So that's not a function. 2 goes to 5, 2 goes to -5. So it's not a function. And that happens lots of places. 6 has a value there. It also has a value there. Actually, all of these x's have two values. Submit answer. Okay, let's look at another problem. That looks the same. Okay, let's look at this one. There's nowhere on here that I see two different answers. 0 gives me -2. 2 gives me 0. 4 gives me -2. 6 gives me -4. 8 gives me about -3. Any x that I pick, remember x is your input, any x that I pick only has one y value. So it is a function. And I like that. See how that green line is going across? It's only crossing that one time. So let's do one that's not a function. That one would be okay. That one would be a function. This would not be a function. And so, because anywhere on here, so if I go to -1, it has an output there and an output there. If I go to +2, it has a 1 and a -1. So this is called the vertical line test. If I submit my answer, that green bar is going to go across. And so everywhere from here to here, when it goes across this square, it hits it twice. Like the green bar crosses the black function twice. And so that makes it not a function. Vertical line crosses graph more than one time. And if that happens anywhere on your graph, then it's not a function. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense and you can make some progress on your assignment.